So, oh man, now that just started recording, I feel like we should go through the instructions just a little bit. So we're making a retention basin at a depth of at least 4 feet deep. All the runoff from the parking lot needs to be diverted to the retention basin. Okay, the bottom of the basin must be at or above the elevation of the marsh of 6 feet. Okay, 1 foot deep swale from the parking lot to the bottom of the retention basin, between 2 and 10%, side slope 4:1. Okay, save the existing trees by using a retaining wall. No grading within the drip line of the trees. So we're not allowed to touch anywhere near these trees. All right, so we have our template for our retention basin. We're going to copy it down here. And we can put the bottom of the retention basin just above 6 feet. And that, so say it's at 6.2 feet. And we'll say that's our FG. Now we can say that this first contour line is 7, because you only show contour lines for every 1 foot, right? So we're not going to show a contour line for 6. We're going to come up from 6, and the first contour line is going to be 7. So now we only have to offset that a few times to get up to 10 feet. Right, so we're at 7. We're going to offset 4 feet because we have a 4:1 maximum slope. So we're going from 7, we're going to 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's 4 feet deep, because the bottom of our thing is 6.2. And so if we were to go, there's kind of like an imaginary hill where the top of our retention basin, where it comes up and then it starts going back down, it's going to go above 10 feet by 0.2, just so that we have that exact 4 feet. I mean, we're not going to show that. We can't show that because we're not going to put a contour line at 10.2 feet. But by drawing it this way, it still maintains that 4 feet of depth. So we're starting at 7, we're going 8, 9, 10 feet up, and then we're going to go back downhill. 9 feet down, 8 feet, 7 feet, and then we want to meet back down with this marsh, which is 6 feet. So we need to maintain a minimum distance of 1 foot away from this marsh. Okay, so this location seems to work for our retention basin. Maybe I'll move it up just a little bit. Okay, and if we start labeling our, it's a bit of a mess right now because I just offset everything, but it'll start coming together as I work through it. Okay, so we have 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we're going back down, 9, 8, 7. Okay, so if we look at our existing contours, we can start trimming things. This is 7, so we're going to break it right there. And over here, and delete that half. So that's our 7 contour. We have 8 over here. This might give us trouble. We might have to redesign this entire corner to start making our swale, because our swale is going to be coming down this way. This and in here. Okay, so let's see if we can't get rid of any last other ones. Let's break this 8 over here, and we'll break this 8 over here just to get rid of it. 9 is going to, 9 does something funky. I forget. Yes, 9 goes all the way back up and just connects with itself. So eventually, maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but 8 is going to come up and connect with itself here. And so is 9. Way up here. Okay, so Okay, and then the other side of 9, if we follow it around, it is here. It is going to, it's going to die into our retaining wall. We're going to have a retaining wall here. This will be our retaining wall. And 9 is essentially just going to come right straight from here into the wall because it's coming out through, it's coming up from this contour line, it's coming down, it's coming around our retention basin, and then it's coming back, and it would probably actually go right through here because what it's going to do is it's going to eventually meet back up with this 9 somewhere over here. So maybe it would realistically do something kind of like this and then hit our retaining wall, which is probably going to come something like that. 8 would obviously have to maintain that spacing. So you would have a little something like that. It's ugly because I'm trying to be quick, but is that right? Are you guys kind of following along? 9 is going to connect up here. We got to get rid of this part of it. Okay, so, and then 10, this is where we're going to have to start forming our swale. So this 10 contour is the top of our retention basin, right? We're starting at 6.2 and we're coming up 7, 8, 9, 10. This corner, I can tell you right now, is probably going to have to come out. So if we take it and draw a little archy thing, something like this, and then back around, it's going to form the first part of our swale. And then you can come back in here. That will be the form that 10 starts to take. And then we can come over here for 11 and do something like this. And die back in here. And so for this one, you would have to measure. You might have to stretch this one out because it can't be more than 50 feet between contours, right? So, oops. So I can actually measure in this program. See what I did. 43 feet. Hey, we're all right. Right? Because our 2 to 10% gives us a maximum of 50 feet. So we're good. We're good. So our last 2 contours, we're just going to come out, curve around like this. This one will probably end up dying into the wall. Or, no, I guess it hits itself right there, right? Okay. And then for 13, we'll just come up, something like this, and then it'll just have to come around like this again. And the reason why we come out like this is because we're kind of creating a ridge line right here, which in turn creates a valley over here. So the water has no choice to take the path, but to take the path of least resistance. It's not going to go down this way because there's a ridge. It's going to come down this valley. And then this might be more than 50 feet. Nope. We're good. So all this works out. And you just have to label your contours. Oops. Put them somewhere where they make sense, I guess. And yeah, I think that's all that needs to be done.
Why does the swell start taking the shape starting at contour line 10? Why it doesn't happen with 9, 8, and 7?
It could I'm trying to maintain the 5 foot spacing in our retention basin as much as possible because that's our retention basin, and we would like the retention basin itself. Like if this thing filled up with water, then it's going to come all the way up to my 10 contour line. And it would be nice if the point where like the very top of the retention basin was like a normal kind of shape. If it went way up there like that, then it starts really changing the shape and the at that point the calculation of the retention basin would be extremely hard to calculate. Honestly, the volume would be very hard to calculate. So you would want to maintain that 5-to-1 slope as much as possible. So maybe to be honest, I wonder how much you can get away with. I don't know. If we took this and maintained that 10 foot kind of spacing, 5 foot spacing, sorry. I don't know what you would end up with. You might be able to increase each one of the rest of these spacings to their maximum and get it to work out. But if it doesn't, you might have to just end up moving the entire retention basin uphill a little bit to get it closer.
Then the curve that you drew from the left side, it goes through the middle of the swell for point, I guess that's 11, 12, and 13. Right. So why wouldn't it go through the middle of, yeah, of 10? You just move it right now. It's supposed to go through the middle,
It
right?
was supposed to, yeah, I just drew it
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it goes all the way to the middle until it reaches the basin, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just drew it kind of inaccurately. Yeah, and then it would just go all the way down to
the basin. Okay.
probably to that
And
point.
then you pick 6.1, 6.2 because that was just above the marge, which was 6.
Right. If I could go at exactly 6, but if I started at 6, then I would have to have one more contour line. My first contour line would have to be 6, and so I would have to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then back down. And so I would end up having to move this whole thing over one more foot to the left, and it would just push it over a little bit more. It's not the end of the world. You can start it at 6.
What was it that 10 was the highest point?
Because that makes our retention basin 4 feet deep. Technically, in order to make it exactly 4 feet deep, the top of our retention basin would have to be at 10.2 feet, right? But we don't have a contour line for 10.2 feet. So you kind of have to imagine, maybe you can even space, I guess technically that would cause this next contour line to be spaced out just a little bit further, because instead of being 5 feet away, you want it to come up. You want that mound, because we're coming up and then we're coming back down, right? You want it to come up to 10.2 feet and then start going back down. And if you were to maintain a 5-to-1 slope between, if you're going from 10 to 10.2 and then back down to 9, that's more than just 1 foot of elevation. So you would end up with more than 5 feet of spacing. It would be like 1.4 feet of spacing, not even 1.2, because you're coming up. Yeah, you're going up and then back down. So it's 1.4 times 5, and that's what the spacing would be between those two contours. Almost 7 feet, probably. So technically, I'm wrong. Yeah.
So then from 10 to 9,
On the
it should
outside,
be a little bit more space between them. Okay.
Yeah, if your bottom is above 6 feet, but that's right. Or you can start it at 7 and go all the way up to 11 feet.
Can you zoom out a little bit just to?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Give me just a minute. I'll be right back. Crap, I forgot to stop recording.